Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bravo Docket. This is an episode of our mini-ep series that we like to call our legal briefs. Today, we're going to talk about something that I have had questions about. What happens if you don't marry someone and you buy a house with them, but then you all have to break up because your stupid boyfriend went and cheated on you with your best friend? What happens?
Honestly, if you're going to buy a house with somebody, you might as well get married. So at least maybe you could get some alimony or get the tax breaks for being married, because you're just losing out on the tax breaks, but then you own this substantial piece of property together and you're not getting any of the benefits that you get from being married. But I know there's a lot of reasons why people do that. I'm not saying you should, but if you can, try to buy a house on your own if you're not married, just because it complicates things. So,
yeah, I will say I was in this position with Avery. We were thinking of buying a home together in Houston and we're not married. And we're like, what do we do? It's too soon to get married. I was like, maybe I'll just buy it and then I'll charge you rent. I don't know. We didn't make it that far.
Yeah, I mean, the person that buys the house has the responsibility for the house on the mortgage, but then they're also getting the equity in the house. They're getting the tax credits for the mortgage interest. They're ideally, hopefully, creating value, but then they don't have the freedom to just peace out and go wherever. So, you know, there's benefits and costs both ways.
And can people form a company to buy a home?
You can, but for example, if you just create an LLC to buy the house, I mean, the LLC is brand new. It doesn't really have credit, and they're going to want a personal guarantee unless it's an LLC that has a substantial amount of income or something already that it can demonstrate. The LLC can't have the mortgage, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's if you buy a house in cash, then you could put it in an LLC and have an LLC own it. I'm not a property lawyer. There's probably a million other ways to do that. This is just me talking off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Or imagine, when I was thinking of going through it, I was I'll just write a really detailed contract. If you F me over, I'm coming for you with this contract.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Ariana and Tom. They bought a house together, not married. We talked about that in our VPR episode. What happens? What happens now? They own a home together that they bought.
Yeah. Okay, so they're not married. And as we talked about in our long form Scandival episode, they are joint tenants, which means that they have equal rights to the house. And if an unmarried couple owns a house, it's typically divided equally upon separation, particularly when you are joint tenants. And here we know that Ariana and Tom, from looking at the records, are equal owners, at least on paper. So you have a couple options. If you can agree and one person has the finances, one person can buy the other person out of the house. I mean, this is assuming that you can talk to each other and come to an agreement together. So one person can buy out the other person on the house. So whatever money the other person's put in the house, whatever their portion of the down payment was, whatever the portion of the additional equity in the house that's been gained, you buy that other person out. And then the problem is you have to also be able to refinance the house in that other person's name when there's a mortgage. So the bank would have to agree and say, yes, that's fine. You can take over the mortgage, we'll refinance it, put it just in one person's name, and then you still have to have the funds to buy the other person out.
It seems like a really costly process if you want to keep it.
But Ariana just got that role in the Lifetime movie, and hopefully her business will become profitable or not have a ton of debt. It looks like they're doing a much better job of that than the Toms did, at least from what we saw in the last episode. I was really cheering for them when I watched that. It's this is, ladies, this is how you do things. Thank you, ladies, for showing the world the right way to do something. Ariana might be in a position, ideally, where she could buy Tom out, but Tom would have to agree to that. So if he doesn't agree, that's an issue. Maybe Ariana could just take over the mortgage, but the problem with that is that it will stay in both parties' names, at least on paper, until one of them could refinance. And maybe they could make a written contract where Ariana is taking over the mortgage and then Tom is responsible for buying her out. But the problem is his entire income is pretty much based on his popularity or goodwill. Is there a term for that in copyright or trademark law or fame or something? What is that called? In his
value?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If Tom was a stock, it would have bottomed out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. So I think Ariana has the goodwill of the people and everyone really wants her to succeed. And she's much more likely to be getting Instagram deals and goodwill for her business and be on reality TV. And now she's getting acting roles.
Well, did you see that vibrator ad that she did?
No, I didn't.
It was one of those paid promotions on Instagram, and it was just perfect. Like,
oh my God. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That who does the data, the Instagram that does like the follower count data? It's so fascinating. Do you know who that content creator is?
Let me look. It's called Bravoholic Data.
Bravoholic Data. Do they have anything about Ariana in there?
Yeah. Vanderpump Rules Instagram growth, pump scandal top earners. Ooh. Swipe to see.
And this is at Bravoholic Data on Instagram.com.
Oh, she did this when Ariana was private.
Oh.
So Lala, not including Ariana now, but Lala at the time of this post, which was March 9th. So yeah, when Ariana got off social media, she gained 87,000 followers.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. I ended up following her after that.
Yeah, Lala's really done a good job of capitalizing off of
my God.
Ariana's pain.
Yeah. I also got a sweatshirt. Like my friend was like, let's buy a sweatshirt. So we have matching sweatshirts. And then...
Wait, what did the sweatshirt say?
The Send It to Daryl one.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. And then did you see Lala had billboards of Send It to Daryl advertising the sweatshirts around LA?
I'm surprised Daryl isn't like, where's my cut?
Well, in the Law 360 article, he said he doesn't expect any money from it.
Yeah. Okay, so go back to the house. Another potential option, and again, I'm not a huge fan of property law, I'm not barred in California, but there's something called a partition action. This is if you can't agree. So if Tom and Ariana can't agree on who has how much equity in the house, if they can't agree on what the buyout cost is or can't agree on somebody taking over the mortgage until the other person can totally buy the other person out, you can file a partition action and request that the court determine the interest in the property. And then the court will hear the evidence and maybe require one party to buy out the other's interest or order the property sold. Or if you want the value of the investment instead, you can bring claims for breach of contract, joint venture, unjust enrichment, and so on. So, and that's just basically the courts trying to be fair in determining who gets what. I don't know. Would you ever advise someone that it's a good idea for them to buy a house with a boyfriend?
Well, seeing as I didn't go through with it, no.
I mean, every case is different, but my general, and this is not legal advice, this is just Ceci and I talking. I mean, everything is different, but hypothetically, my answer is typically going to be, this is a bad idea. Getting locked into a property with somebody when you're not married is almost like you are married to that property because it requires a legal action to not be married to the property.
Yeah, it just seems so much easier to do it after you're married. Not that any of us can afford homes right now.
I know. It's crazy.
So not really thinking about that at all.
Well, you and I live in some of the most expensive areas of the United States. I mean, I had to go 40 minutes outside of Austin because I didn't realize how poor I was until I tried to buy a house in Austin.
Oh, no. I was driving around with my dad in LA last week, and we were like in a neighborhood that didn't seem like it was that desirable. I was like, oh, maybe I can afford something here. So I went on Zillow, and a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home was $2.3 million. And I said, okay, this isn't for me, I guess. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So hopefully that answered everyone's questions on that.
And if you did buy a house with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whoever,
true,
don't freak out. We're not saying you did something bad or wrong.
No.
It's just if it's going to require legal action you can't just, be like, well, I'm leaving, bye. It makes it much harder to get out.
Yeah, definitely a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap this up, we recorded this episode long before the finale came out, long before Ariana was doing any interviews. But she's since been on The View, and I wanted to share the audio from that interview about what she said she plans to do with the house. We'll see how it goes for her. Apparently, Tom and her are still living in their home. I mean, I don't think it's because it'll help either of them in this home proceeds split. I really don't see a benefit in them both living there. I mean, it is both of their homes. They jointly own it, so they both are entitled to live there. But just legally speaking, there's really no benefit for both of them to be living there. Anyway, so this is what she said about the house. And then there's a little bit more from Whoopi Goldberg on her thoughts on the house.
Well, I have thought about it, but I truly think that, I can't afford to do that. Yes, I really want to sell the house. I want to be a homeowner on my own after this. And so that is my goal, is to be able to save up. I hope so. We are joint on it, 50-50. So
what was the name of that movie with Michael Douglas and
War of the Roses?
I always talk
You
about
got to
that.
make it very difficult for him to be there.
if you need to have us over, we can make it difficult. Oh yeah, absolutely. You guys feel
But you know what?
Hold Sonny back.
You're the one with the plan. Yeah. This is what we're doing. And you don't have time to be wasting on somebody who has no respect.
Yeah.
You have to take care of you, make sure you get the house sold, and lawyers will help you make sure if he's not willing to do it, then he has to buy it. Yeah. You have to buy the house. One or the other, but it has to happen by now. Let's get together. Don't spend any more time on this clown than you need.
Whoopi's right. Get talking to some lawyers and don't spend any more time on this clown, like she said.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this little legal brief, and we'll be back with the long form episode next week. Bye, legal team.